Hey everybody, and welcome to Bits of Board, where we're talking board games, miniatures, cards, and dice. My name's Michael, and today, well, we're just putting together a Kingdom Death miniature, okay? So it's not a continuation of the campaign. If that's what you're expecting, I'm sorry, stay a while and listen to me in the intro, but if you don't want to see a dude put together a model, then just switch off, it's fine. I will see you soon for the next one. But what I will say though is apologies for the delay between videos. I wanted to make sure that my voice was at least audible for this final encounter for the campaign. Not croaky old Michael's about to die kind of thing. So yeah, that's what's been happening there. The music's all done. The model is now put together and it's all about this final showdown. So I'll have it up as soon as I can. I'll be rushing to get that finished. But yeah, this video, like I said, is just me putting together the Gold Smoke Knight. It's not going to be hugely interesting. I'm just kind of testing out a dual point of camera focus here, which kind of comes in handy because filming the miniature work is hard. Focus is a massive issue, and so there'll be times where you'll be watching the video, if you decide to do so, that you'll be like, why is he talking about it and not showing what he's doing? It's because it was out of focus and there was no point in looking at this fuzzy out of focus thing. So I learned a lot doing this video. You could learn a thing or two watching it, maybe, if you've not put miniatures together before. I don't know, why are we doing this? Who knows? Maybe it's just to put a video up. Yeah, it's probably that. Let's get stuck in. Alright, this is going to be interesting. Here we are, ladies and gentlemen, with the Gold Smoke Knight kit here. So we're going to be building this one in preparation from our final encounter in Kingdom Death 1.5. This is just huge for me. Anyway, so I'll just go through what I've got going on here. So of course we've got a little bit of an area that we can use to put our model together. I like to use a little something with walls just in case we drop some small parts. But this kit here has got some, you know, everything seems pretty big, pretty findable if you drop it, so that's kind of cool. I've got some soapy water over here, which is just so we can wash off some of the gunk. I'll go through that in a sec though. I've got some Citadel glue here. I have Blue Tack, which is that temporary glue stuff which comes in handy for most all occasions in life. I've got a little file here and an X-Acto knife with a fresh blade because no one wants to see my gunky old blade. And of course, I've got some snips as well, which will come in handy. Yeah, so this is the first sort of dual camera setup that we've got going on here. Going to be working through, I don't know if it's going to work at all, this whole video as a whole, not sure. But we're going to give it our best, so we may as well just begin. Now the reason we've got the soapy water is, when these injection molds are filled up, there's a chemical that helps them sort of separate from the molding process, which is very cool. It means we don't get missing bits and gross stuff, but it does apparently make it harder for the paint to stick to the plastic and that sort of stuff. So we got to give it a decent wash, and of course a decent dry as well. So let's zoom in and watch this whole washing process unfold. So of course, absolutely thrilling stuff here, guys. We're just going to chuck it in there and give it a bit of a shake off. Apparently you can go over with a soft bristle toothbrush, but I don't think we're going to need that. As I don't know if we can get like a before and after pic, but you can see the plastic color has changed, and that's actually, we can compare it with this one here. Maybe it's just shiny, or maybe I'm just seeing things, but that's what it takes. Now we'll get that one out and just pop it off to the side. And we'll get this one in there as well. Give that a bit of a clean. All right, the next stage is to get these suckers dry. And the best way to do that, apparently, is with a hairbrush because it prevents any of these little bubbles from forming little inconsistencies across the mold finish. I don't think it'll actually cause any issues at the end of the day, but hey, it might, and I've never gone against it. So I'll be back in a sec after having blow dried these, I guess. A helpful tip going into the blow drying is not to use a high temperature at all. You don't want any of these bits and pieces melting away, changing their shape or anything like that. So honestly, we are just going to get a cool breeze onto these suckers. I'll be right back. Alright, so all that stuff is now successfully blow dried. It's nice and dry. If not a little bit lighter, it always plays tricks on me, but I always think the plastic's a little bit lighter after you wash it. Probably not, though. You can feel free to, you know, fight me on that one. Anyway, so I'm going to be using the Vibrant Lantern build guide here. I've always found their build guides to be absolutely the best, so I'll link to that in the description down there. These guys have just been the single most helpful resource for Kingdom Death since its inception back in the day. So we'll go with them. Probably not heaps to talk about here, so let's just get stuck in with some clipping. We're going to begin with the base because that is arguably going to be the simplest part of the model to chop up. And so we'll just have a look at what we've got to cut here on the base. 3 connections there, and they're all sort of model facing. So we're going to take the flat edge of our snips here and take them nice and close. Now I'm probably going to have to get my face in here to find out what exactly we need to be doing, but should just be a nice simple snip, and that should be ready to go. Now I'm just going to run through, getting as close as I can without losing the details here. It's not going to matter. These guys are going to be covered up by the base cover anyway. So that's very nice to have him off. Now there's, it's always sort of good practice, at least for me, to go through these little spots again that I've clipped and clean them up a little bit with the X-Acto knife. So as you can see here, we've got, I don't know if you can see here, this will be the first, we've got a little bit of an inconsistency there. So you can either go in and cut it face value like that, which we might do with this one, and these are just going to be like real light sort of gliding cuts, and it's sort of like a bit of a scoop in there as well for me. Now the other way you can do it is sort of go backwards on it, but I don't think this is one of the occasions where I can go ahead and do that. So honestly, this is just me getting back into practice because this is not going to show up at all on the model. All right, he should be about ready to go for us. Now there are 2 other pieces that fit onto this to give it that little bit more of a dynamic 3D base feel. And where are they? They're just these little pieces on the sprue here. A little bit more smoke for our Gold Smoke Knight. So we're just gonna snip those and drop them on that white base there so I don't lose them. And there we go. Clean them up real quick. Groovy. All right, so we could go ahead and glue these on pretty much now. I don't think there's any point in not at the moment, so let's just get some of our plastic glue down. The way we're gonna do this, so I believe, let's actually figure out where it's gonna go first, because I've got a fairly good idea at least. So this guy has actually got the flat space, so the sprue cut is going to face that inside part there, and he's going to look a little something like that. Now he doesn't fit wonderfully. I feel like he's getting pushed back out. So I might clean up this piece just a little bit. All right, it looks like I've got that much nicer here. So we're going to get some glue into this little spot here. Just little splash down the bottom there. And we're just going to push that smoke plume in like that. And as you can see, hopefully you can see those mold lines are lining up a lot better than they were before. Now the way that plastic glue works as opposed to your normal super glue stuff is I think it actually melts the 2 pieces of plastic together rather than providing a base that kind of holds both sides. So you've got to be kind of careful with this stuff here in that if it does spill out into a noticeable area, it can actually ruin some of the detail here. So you kind of want to be a little bit sparing. That looks solid though. We've got some gaps in there which we can fill later should we need it. But yeah, that's a very good start. Let's get this other plume in. Again, just a little splash in there, and then, all right, so this little bit here just falls in like that. This is a much easier little piece. Doesn't look like there is much that could go wrong with there. Cool. And that's really it for the base, so that's great. We're just gonna leave that aside. All right, so I believe we're gonna get into the head part next, which by the looks of things, and I could be wrong here, we've got our head, that's no worries. There's a little bit of smoke for the back of the head, and then over here we have another plume coming off. So let's go ahead and snip those bad boys out. But here we've got it, like this stuff is going to be showing on the model, so we want to be as careful as we can with these cuts. So let's just go ahead and check out this headpiece. Got a little bit of hair on his chinny chin. Let's just clean that up real quick. Good stuff. All right, and let's have a look at these smoke plumes here. What do we got? Just a bit on that bottom that just might prevent it from sitting flushly in the model piece. That's all right. I think he only had one. Let's check out this other one here. We've got our flat bit over here. That's all right. Where was that other piece? Here we go. Just on that peak of the plume there. Nice and smooth there. Wonderful. Let's piece this sucker together. Now apparently these two bits of plume sit together. We've got an inside join here and a receiving join here, so they should sit a little something like that. And isn't that flush, guys and gals? Bang on. I love it. All right, well, let's just lock that in real quick with some glue. So we just want to glue like the flat pieces, so mainly that receiving piece there, a little bit there, and just a little bit on the flat edges. You don't need to go too crazy with this. Just gonna sacrifice my fingers just to pull off some of that because I don't want that seeping out. Cool. So once we're sort of happy with that, we're just gonna plop them together like so, and just have another quick look to make sure there's no bits of glue sort of spilling out all over the dock. I think we're all right though. Cool. Fairly easy. This headpiece is going to sit right there, and then we've just sunk into the first part of our smoke night. I'm so excited. Let's get that on there. Just a little bit of glue on that facing and on the sides there. Doesn't need to be heaps, and we'll just place that straight on top, and what do you know? It all fits beautifully. Now the next piece we're going to do are the legs and body pieces. So we've got, this is all contained on one sprue except for some shoulder down there. Now, this is where we've got to be a little bit careful, because if you can see over here on our base, we actually have some insertion points for the feet to stand in. So we want to make sure that we don't cut off these extra bits on the legs here, right? Let's go ahead and start snipping, being real mindful of those two. 1 and 2, yep. And then let's get these bits off. Cool. All right, legs are sorted. We'll clean them up in just a sec. Actually, we'll clean them up in a sec. Let's just finish chopping. Now, some people like to paint their pieces on the sprue so they have full access to all the areas. It can be tricky to paint the stuff, you know, once you've got weapons in the way and stuff. I remember painting Space Marines back in the day, and every time you'd put a bolter on, you'd be like, and now I can't paint the crest. That sucks. So what we're gonna do here is now just clean up and just hope to goodness that these details are not going to be obscured by weapons later on down the track. Clean that up there. Honestly, it doesn't look like this bit is even going to be showing, so that's really good planning by the Kingdom Death guys. Looking forward to cutting myself on camera, hey. It's probably going to happen, right? So what I've done here is just cleaned up that top edge, and down here in the loincloth you can hardly tell where it was connected. Let's go for those legs. So here we're just going to lightly saw off those the connection points from the anchors there, and we've come to our first sort of noticeable mold line on the miniature here. So I'm just going to zoom in a little bit. Maybe should have done that from the start. I don't know if you can tell, but if I move left and right here, there is a mold line across the back of the calf there, and it looks like it's going across the front of the leg piece as well. So what I'm going to do here is very, very lightly, essentially drag the X-Acto knife across the back of the model like that. And what that does is it kind of picks up any non-flat pieces there. So just really lightly. You can hear that scraping off a little bit. Yeah, that looks good. Now this process can take some time depending on how into it you get with your mold lines. Like I could be checking heaps of other places for mold lines, but usually it's arms and legs. That's much better there. All right, let's just go along that back. Again, cleaning up just that little bit here. Now I can see that mold line going onto the heel, but honestly, I don't know if I'm good enough to actually get rid of that without screwing this whole thing up. Let's just do a really light one there. Cool. So what we've got over here are just a couple of insertion points on the back of the cloak here. And we've got some input points here, which we just kind of put in like that. So that'll go on this side. The other leg will go on the other, but I'm not exactly sure what sort of angle these guys need to be sitting at right now. So this might be a job for some blue tack. You know what, I think we're going about this the wrong way. We don't need to connect these to the back part first. We should probably connect these to the front parts first, because that looks like it's gonna have a lot more of a structured position to it, possibly. Oh, for sure, for sure. Check this out. On the back here, we've got this little anchor, I guess, and that fits in perfectly there. Oh man, why won't we just do that? Yeah, cool. All right, let's get a little bit of glue onto that anchor point there. So just along the side is where it's gonna be connecting. Again, not too much at all. So got a little bit there, and we'll just flatten this guy onto there and make sure that it kind of fits in with everything else. Now I've only got a little bit of glue on this piece, but I think that's gonna be okay because there are gonna be a lot of pieces holding this sucker together. Now usually I'd probably let that sit for a bit, but let's see if this other leg's gonna do the same. Ah, yeah. See, I should have looked at this nice and closely, but even the legs have got this little anchor point in there. See, could have put the legs together first, guys. Oh. Yep, so that's just gonna go right up the side there with the connection. So let's go ahead and put some glue in those spots there for us. Beautiful. So what we've got here is I've just pressed them together. Got our butt of the Gold Smoke Knight sitting nicely. And just need to sort of get a little bit of glue in there. I probably should have done a little line, but I will amend that once we put the back on this guy here. So we'll just leave him for a sec, let that kind of set. And then boy, oh boy, are we gonna be laughing. So that just fits perfectly there. There's some pretty full-on gaps back there behind the cape, but I think that's just what we're gonna have to deal with today, guys. So let's put a little bit of glue. I love this little applying thing. All right, and we'll just pop them in there, straight in. Everything structurally holding itself together here. Guys and gals, we are getting close to our Smoke Knight. Now, just looking at it now is gonna be a really good time before this dries to get this head section in there. So we might put some glue around those little spots there. So I've got the head sitting in there, as you can see, and I've just popped a little bit of glue on the inside connection there, which is gonna hold it pretty well. I'm just a little worried about this connection at the back here. Should be all right if everything glues all right though. We'll get into some arms shortly, but by the looks of things, everything's sitting pretty well. And I reckon we're okay to let this sucker dry up. I don't think there's gonna be, I'm a little worried about that armhole there, but Vibrant Lantern has never steered me astray. That should be fine to hold the arm in there. Let's let these suckers dry. We'll come back in a sec. All right, let's get some arms on this guy. We'll go the right arm first, this thing here. So we'll chop him up, clean him up, and, ooh, he's a little close. There we go. Now we've got some mold lines on the arm here, so we're just gonna scrape them off. Make sure they are nice and smooth, so that's good. So this arm is gonna fit, hopefully, just on the side of our monster here, just like this. Looking good to me. We can even see at the back here that it's going to sit quite flush. So let's get some glue on that and get it in place. Looks like most of the contact is going to be along that edge there, so we're gonna get some glue sitting across that. Not heaps, that was probably too much, but we'll stick with it. And hopefully we can get this to sit nice and flush like that. Now this is a slightly awkward piece for us, because if we get it sitting nice and flush on the back like that, then we've got this lovely gap along the chest there, which I don't think we want. So we might go the lesser of two evils and we'll block, yeah, we'll try and reduce the gap along the front most, because that's going to be the focal point of our miniature. Just gone ahead and put a little bit of glue underneath that the shoulder crest there. Alright, that should be pretty sweet. And what we'll have to do at the end of the day, it's a massive gap, but we're going to have to get in there with some green stuff and maybe sculpt a little bit of the fur back into it. But that should be okay. Beauty, let's leave him there for a sec. Next, we're going to be preparing the other arm, and this is the arm with the thunder maul. So I've got two sides of the maul up here, and that's going to sit on the end of this pole here. And as you can see, it's got another one of those connectors up the top here, so we've got to be pretty careful not to snip that off, and we might just go ahead and prep it up. Now the thunder maul, that's a fairly simple piece here. We're just getting these two sides, popping them in together like that. I'll go ahead and clean them up. I'll clean them up together, and that way we can keep everything nice and even. What I'll do is I'll start by gluing these two sections together. Just placing a little bit of glue along those inside edges there. That seems to be plenty. Pop them on, and then we'll just have a quick look around, get the hands involved, and make sure there is no glue spilling out. That looks pretty solid to me. Next up, we're going to connect the head of the weapon onto the staff here, and it's just going to be a matter, like, we can glue this in a sec. I just want to make sure this looks good with the miniatures. Now we can probably have it facing up or facing the other way here, so I won't glue it just yet, just squeezing it on there, and we can check that once it's on the miniature, right? Next, we'll get that maul arm onto the body. So we're just going to place a little bit of that glue along here and on that flat connection edge. Then we're going to grab our weapon, and this is going to go behind our Smoke Knight here. And I don't know if we can see here, but those connections, that join is pretty solid. And along the front, we're looking good as well. So I'll hold that steady for a couple of moments. Oh, this guy is coming together so nicely right now. Might even be able to get him on his base here. That could be cool. 1 and 2 like that, perhaps. At least we can have him stand up while the piece is set. Cool. Alright, he's looking pretty good there, guys. I like the way that maul is facing. There's just a couple more pieces we need to get on there. So we've got these two guys here, and they're either going to be shoulder or maybe elbow pieces. So let's chop them off and find out where they're going to be sitting. Alright. So let's figure out where these guys are going to go. Yeah, must be the knees. Alright. So something like that there, just so it's got that nice curl up. And then the other one will go just on the other side. That seems simple, bang on for us. Let's get some glue, sneaking in around that loincloth there. Ah, that's spot on. Last bit. simple there. So the last thing I want to make sure is that everything lines up nicely. The knees are spot on, are they? Oh, look, that's pretty good to me. And there we have our Gold Smoke Knight built and ready for his showdown. What an imposing beast this guy is. Look at our Kingdom Death base here, just clean up the edges. It's the only catch with these ones is sometimes they've got these little chunks taken out of them. I don't know if you can see it there, but that's not something I'll be able to file back. Just have to work with that later on. And there he is, guys and gals. We'll get a close up of him there, but yeah, all done.